So I want to start by thanking everybody for being here today. By everyone here learning a little bit, you have the potential of helping those of us living with dementia and our families to stay connected in a very important way. One of the 4 strategies that we're given on diagnosis is diet, exercise, staying socially connected, and the 4th one is learning, challenging the brain in new and different ways. This is such a complex disease, which I think makes it all the more challenging in that it's very different. Although 2 people may be diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it may be very different for a 70-year-old or 75-year-old whose life has gone calmer and they're retired versus somebody who's in their 50s and has to stop work. It's very different for a couple and their relationship than it is with a child, with a parent. I suppose I've seen both sides of it. My dad had vascular dementia, and his last year, he died 2 months ago. His last year was rough on everybody, not just on him, but the family as well. We're 2 sides of one coin, and the carer is equally as important to be cared for and supported. So just, I suppose, a little few minutes on the invisibility of this disease and what challenges are. I find it quite scary at the moment. There are roughly 11 people a day in this country being diagnosed with some form of dementia. I live in Cashel, County Tipperary, and since Christmas, within about a 30-35 mile, I still do miles, not kilometres, radius, I've met 5 people in their 50s. One lady who actually is 55, diagnosed in February, is sitting here in the room. She amazes me. She's an incredible inspiration. And I know Marguerite won't mind me saying it, but she was told at 55, stop your work, stop driving, and make a will. And went home to a 14-year-old daughter. So there's a huge implication in all of that. It's different again for somebody who's living in Dublin. They can jump on a bus if they have to stop driving, versus us in the middle of nowhere, where I think it's upwards of 4 hours to get to a local town and back, possibly even longer. So we were working in the Abbey yesterday and had a 39-year-old just diagnosed in January. And there is a lady we haven't yet met who's 32, just been diagnosed as well. So why am I saying these? Because for us, it's very important to stay out and about. The alternative is to shut our front door and stay inside, probably most likely become very depressed without a sense of purpose, without a sense of doing, which becomes at that stage, and Sean Donal would kill me for using the word burden, but a burden to ourselves and a burden to those around us, to have that added depression or that sense of nothingness. I'm standing here today, and actually I'd have loved to have done a bit of a survey this morning to see who would have picked me out or Marguerite out as having dementia in their 50s. I'm 58. Oh, no, I'm 59. Who would have picked us out? So I'm standing here. I'm dressed fairly okay. The hair is done, and I'm holding a conversation. So I'd just like to give you a few ideas of what my challenges are, because many people have said to me, you don't look like somebody with dementia, and it's always stuck with me. What does dementia look like? Should I be sitting in a chair rocking and dribbling or drooling, or eyes wandering or vacant look or whatever? This is 32 and up the face of dementia. And a bit like Fiona was saying, I don't want to ever normalise dementia because it's horrible. There's nothing nice about it. But I want to normalise speaking about it. And I don't want societies out there who are only friendly to me because I have dementia. I want societies who are respectful and kind. I think our rights-based and political correctness has forgotten those too, because a lot of what we need to stay out there is really quite simple. So I say these things not for sympathy. As I heard my mother say to one of his friends recently, don't say that to Mom, she doesn't do sympathy. So some of the things, I'm losing the ability to count coins, count my money, so I could turn up at a shop and I might have to put my hand out. Locally to me in Cashel, people know, the girls around and the young fellas would know, and they'll just do it without any issue. There are shops, obviously, I have to go into, or banks, where I could be having a bad day, and it's very, very hard at 59 to say, I can't do this, I'm not able to do this. If somebody's rushing then and you have people behind you, it becomes twice as hard. I regularly fall downstairs. Stairs have become very frightening to me. In actual fact, to the stage where there's one particular stairs, 4 steps, I just won't go down it. It frightens me so much. I can, because of spatial difficulties, lift a cup of coffee. The guys tell me they're kind of, they keep me on my toes. My mouth is big enough I shouldn't miss, but spatially, if I'm not concentrating, I'll get it to here and I'll pour and have scalded myself. Again, that's fine if you're in your own kitchen. If you're out and about, it becomes a very bigger issue. Trains, Lewis's, things like that can be very frightening with crowds and people and movement. You know, getting on a train, the sign is hopping from one screen to another and Thurles blah 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 blah. You're rushing, you know. I've shouted at a few guys recently, you know, is this the right Cork train? And at best you get, yeah. At worst you get a grunt or open your eyes, or, you know, somebody said to me recently, go up to the notice board and read. Not helpful when you're trying to get a train home and you've done something that you're exhausted. Exhaustion from the moment I get out of bed at the moment until I go to bed. At this stage, so I should say I'm 5.5 years along my journey. If I don't focus on everything, something simple can happen, like not putting powder in my washing machine to get into the shower, not even washing myself. They're all little things, and I laugh at them or let them go. But more serious things like, you know, taking out a pan out of the oven and not covering my hands, you know, not locking the doors, not turning things off. So for me, I don't know anymore by tonight and when I go to bed what skill or ability is going to be gone. And that's a hard place to be before you head out into the community. My hands have become very weak, so to open a bottle can be a massive challenge. Again, I've sat on trains, so if I don't drink upwards of 2.5 litres of water a day, I end up with very serious cramps that I've put my feet in ice in the middle of the night. So if I can't open a bottle, I have to ask somebody around me. Again, at best, you get some, no, yeah, sure, no problem, to, you know, what's your issue? Or, you know, a kind of a disrespect, a kind of a look at you as if you're, I don't know, bordering on dirt at times. Now, it's not everybody, and there are so many kind people out there, but there's all these invisible things that we have to face as we go through the day. And if one or two of those things go wrong, or we get a sarcastic comment, it can be very upsetting, and it can make you want to shut your door and stay inside. I was at an ATM. I had a difficulty with the son and not the Alzheimer's, but a lady started tapping, and I asked for a minute and she didn't stop, and then I started to get panicky. If my card is taken, I have no cash. So then I said, can you give me a moment, I have Alzheimer's? And she said to me, don't be so disrespectful to people with Alzheimer's. And it's like, that's not helpful in the moment of you staying, because for most of us it comes to that, you know, that moment, that getting flustered, becoming overwhelmed, and then something more serious or dangerous can happen to us. And this is, I'm bringing it a bit low now, but this is reality at 58, and I know of others, so I'm speaking for others, it's just not me. So I have major bowel and bladder issues so badly. Recently I was out with the dogs, and 5 minutes out and completely destroyed myself. I can honestly say to you, it's one of the most devastating, soul-destroying episodes in my life. I have been challenged quite rudely as to why I would dream of going into a disabled toilet. I don't go in just because it might be the nearest toilet to me. I go in because at this stage I find blocks of doors and mirrors quite overwhelming. I've been in bathrooms where I haven't been able to find my way out of them, which seems very small, but it can be very upsetting. Lifts I haven't got into because the floor is black or there's mirrors in them or I need somebody in the lift with me. All of these things can happen on a regular basis and can happen every day. And for me to live as I live on my own, I need to be able to shop and bank, go to the ATM. I need to be able to go into a chemist, play sport, get on the train. But there are little things that I need to do to help and support me. Absolute support with all of this from the Alzheimer's Society. We couldn't do it without them. But there's times when I'm out and about on my own, and the guys tell me not only am I gobby, but I'm stubborn as well. I refuse to go inside my door because being out and about is helping me to stay well, to be well, and I want to see my sons, considering I was told a year and a half into my diagnosis I might know them in 3 years. Well, I'm 5.5 years in and I know them, and I want to see them in relationships and I want to see them with their children. So for me, as part of being well, as with all of us, we need to stay out there. We need to stay doing what we're doing. Even if it's, you talked about sport, we met a lovely new man yesterday to the working group who is no longer able to count how many times, and the golfers out there apologise, he whacks the ball, I don't know the right terminology for it. So he can't remember whether, have I whacked it 4 balls? And I was kind of saying to him, sure, what does it matter? Like, it's only 1, you know, and he was going, oh no, it's very serious. He's had the courage, and he's newly diagnosed, to say to his friends, can you count for me? This man has played golf all his life. So if that stopped and he couldn't do that, or he was met with rudeness, he probably likely would have stopped. It wouldn't have been worth doing it to go out and being smacked in the face, literally, because that's what it's like. So this is right across every area of our life. And so for me, this gives me great hope today to see so many people here and learning a little bit. If I was asked 5-6 years ago what would have been a big shocker for me, it would have been the rudeness, the nastiness, the disrespect, the stigma, and the dismissiveness of so many people saying, ah, yeah, we all have a bit of that. No, my brain is dying. It's actually going to kill me. You might be a bit forgetful, but do you have Alzheimer's? So, you know, I suppose I would challenge everybody here, if you have a mom, a sister. I have a sister, she's 9 years younger than me. I know she finds my journey tough. It's a sad journey. How would we all like a loved one to be treated with this disease? The disease is hard enough to deal with without having to deal with a society that can dismiss us or wants us to stay inside closed doors. I think am I done now? Well, it's time to stop now. So really the alternative impacts my health and I will deteriorate an awful lot quicker. And that's a hard place to be. And so we do need everybody out there. We don't need millions, we need people to be kind. I've got lost in Clonmel. I didn't get lost. I looked up and I didn't know who I was or where I was. And nobody approached me. Had I had a stick or a cane or a patch on my eye, somebody might have approached me. It was one of the most frightening moments of my life when I kind of came to and I didn't know who I was. I just didn't know how long I had stood there. I would have 6 years ago not approached me either. Which makes me very sad to think I'd have dismissed a person like that. So, you know, when we look at 32 and we look at 39 and 55s, you know, we've all been active, we've all had to give up those jobs, stop the driving, but life goes on for us and we shouldn't not be able to get out and about because there isn't the support out there. The numbers that are coming down the line, I would talk all around the country, and there's a rare family I have met that has not somebody with dementia or knows somebody quite close. So I hope some of that made sense, and thank you for listening.